This is Short Hammer. It is the 1st of May 2021, and this is Trading Zones. If we're looking at the MNQ, um, what you will see is this is, yep, a pullback here, and hopefully this is really clear for you. Right in this area of the 13,870s, so 13,873-ish, and look at that bounce, and we went through the 13,955 and went right into the 14,026. But just like last time, look back when we got there here, right? We couldn't find any bullish extension above this level, and we pulled back, right? And if you look at the pullback right above the line, back up into it, then back down through, even though we pierced, we pulled back to that midpoint line that now established this as a potential supply area. Back down, buyers are trying to buy, get the dip under, look at the flare, and then the dip. So this is definitely interesting. What would I be watching for in this upcoming week? Well, based on where we are now, if the buyers don't hold us here, and you see we have the candle structure right over here around those 13,820s, 27-ish, that area. If we go through that level, then we're watching for 13,757 to open up, and then maybe 13,688. If we get back over the 13,873, then I'll be looking for a back test or a retest of the 13,955. So we'll see how that works out. Above, we have the 14,026. Always a chance that we can make highs, and these pullbacks, you have to watch it to see if there's an increased amount of selling, or if this is just a few people liquidating positions and looking to reposition for the buyback up. If we remember, Microsoft had earnings and they did beat well, right? And all their different sectors they beat, and they sold. And a lot of people sort of bought that dip, not a lot, but some people bought that dip because they said, hey, you're telling your earnings report is telling me that your business is doing strong. So when the market pulled back, people jumped in and went heavy into Microsoft, and the cream rises to the top. Microsoft went right back to the top, right? And popped up and kept on going. So looking at this, what I would watch for is if there's weakness through the 13,820s, look for the 13,750s to open up, 57 area here. If we're bullish and get above 13,873, then keep an eye on 13,955. May it go beyond that, up or down? Yes, that's possible. But we would look at the closest lines, or the lines that are in proximity to where we currently are. So I'll give you one or two lower. So 13,563 to the downside, 13,688, 13,757 to the upside, 13,873. Skip over that, and extension up into the 13,955s would be nice. 14,026. Those are our lines on the MNQ. Sliding over to the MES. So we had a rejection at the 42.03. Pull back into 41.68. We'll see if this holds. If this holds, we'll at least get a nice pullback here into, what's this we have here? Maybe 41.89. We'll see how this works out. Just looking at the candle structure, but did hold here. If you're wondering where I pull these lines from, or if these lines are out of thin air, just look back at the video from last week, and I did mention all these levels. So if I'm watching the MES, I would need this thing to get about 4,200 and give me a little bit of bullish extension, and I want to increase in volume to give us just a nice little rip, right? A lot of people in the market are projecting a drawdown of some sort, and that may happen. But until it does, just keep making that money by trading the setups that are working over and over again, right? It's just like clockwork, some of these different setups. And so if you're on the MES, look for the 4168 area. As long as that holds, then it should open up the 4203. If the 4168 breaks, it should open up 4142. If that breaks, then 4110s. the Russ. We have a pullback here, and we did get a nice little little extension and a push up here through the 2313th. We have a nice pullback sell candle back test. Look at this. No closes above the 2290 area. Just consistent selling here. So that's really interesting on the RTY. Keep an eye on that just to see if, as some of these programs are being rolled out, if there is a bump in small cap and also a bump in community banks and small banks, and we'll see if RTY follows suit. So we'll see how this plays out. If we're going to dip, and it'll give us a great buying opportunity, or if it continues to on all these different pullbacks, right? Buyers stepping in. So we'll see what we have here. But if we look at the last time we flared up and we sold, it kept going. It didn't just stop, right? So maybe this is the same type of thing where we made lower lows on the wave. First wave, right? Then pull back on this wave here, trying to pull back here. But it did drop significantly here, which is really interesting. And here being on the 20th of April. Got to be specific. Amazon beat, ran, people got excited. Volatility crush next day, all bad. So if you're in options on that, you know exactly what I mean. So right now we are pulling back to the 3450s. What we want to see is the buyers step in no lower than the 3450 area. We want the buyers to step in and give us another rise and a push through the 3550s to the top. If we get below this area, then we're looking for the 3386 area, 3370s, and 3344 area, right? Video last week, check it out. What we said about Amazon, they should do well. Just based on how their business is designed, they should do well. Whether it's Amazon Web Services, whether it's Whole Foods, just any of those different divisions, they should do well. And it appears as if they did. We'll see this selling. I would prefer if it sold more. I'm not in this short at all, but I would prefer a lower entry because if all their numbers are beating, at this point of the pandemic, once things open back up a little bit more, maybe their numbers will continue to go up and continue to rise, right? Amazon's just, to me, I like Amazon. I think it's a strong company. So watching these levels, watch what I just mentioned. If we hold here and we get back above 3513s, watch out for 3550s. If we crack 3458s, watch out for 3450, then 3433, then 3386, 3370s. So we'll see how this plays out on Amazon. Netflix. So it looks almost as if we have like a baby trampoline thing going on here, right? This is interesting. So if you wanted to draw this from here all the way across, and yep, it might go. That's possible too. I'm not worried about any of that. If it does, that's great. And I know this looks janky, right? So I would actually probably slide this up a little bit. If they'll let me, to right about here, and I'll flip it around. But so I'd watch this for a break to the upside or a break to the downside. Right now, it's more probable than not like it wants to break up. So we'll see if that works. But if we get above 513s, that does open up a few more levels to the upside. We'll see how that plays out. But I'll be careful. Just watch Netflix that it held up over these 502s. That's nice, right? This area right here was the dip buy if we had an opportunity to dip buy it. Or to begin looking for it, right? So next week, watch and see if we break out of this box. If we dip below 50, I'll say the 500s, you definitely want to keep an eye on it to see if we're going to drift lower. As long as we hold that level, there's a potential for us to consistently bounce. If we sort of stay on this top and push through, then that does open up a few other levels. The 518s ish, then all up into these 520s, 535s, 542s, and 550s. We'll see how Netflix plays out. But those are interesting levels. If you watch our video, what we did mention was we thought it would be really hard for them to find more subscribers just based on how many subscribers jumped into Netflix when the pandemic began. So kind of thought that those numbers, with all the fear and the emotions surrounding not just the market, but just surrounding the world, that it was more probable than not that there wasn't going to be a repeat. Like mysteriously, more people appeared on Earth, and mysteriously, all those people wanted to purchase Netflix, right? Or purchase streaming service from Netflix. So chances are low on that. NVIDIA. What we want to watch here is we're below the 613. See if we touch the 589. So I mean drift through this area. So make it a lower low. If we get through 589, first potential hitch is around 576. And yes, but if you are wanting to get long here, I'll wait for this thing to give you a green, something like this, right? At least a point where you feel as if the buyers have stepped in. So whatever time frame you use for that, use that time frame to look for potential entry here, right? If we get through the 589s and we're still bearish, then keep an eye out for a dip into the 555s. And then right around here, this area 580, what's this here? 576-ish. We'll see. Love this Apple rejection of the 137s and the drift into the 131s. We'll see if this holds. They buys back above this, opens up the 134.20s. If that holds, opens up the 137.20s. But chances are we might go a little bit sideways in between these levels. If we have negative drift below the 131.75, we'll keep an eye out for the 127.45. That will be interesting. We'll see how all these stores opening up really affects or impacts these different companies, Apple, Netflix. We'll see how all these different changes affect them. And if people are back out shopping again, then those numbers as far as in store should go right back up through the roof. So we'll see how all that shakes out. For me, I just think this is a minor liquidation break, and that the buyers will step in. But we'll see. Okay, Facebook still being Facebook, going crazy. So if I'm watching this right, what I'll be watching for is, do we break back above 322, 322-ish, or do we have negative drift and drift down here to this candle structure here right around 31, well, not 31, but 314, right? So 314, that'll be interesting here. For me, I'm not going to touch this unless I do like a vertical put to play this to the downside, because it's super limited risk, right? So, but for me, I'm going to stay away just because right now the trend is up, and don't like to go against that, especially on the higher time frame. But if you're watching Facebook, the levels that I would watch if we drift back below these 320-190s is 315s. And see if the buyers step in there. Then it'll be the 307s will be the bottom of that zone, then the 303s, and you'd just be looking for a day when it appears as if there's more buying than selling, and the buyers have stepped in. And sort of then there are a few more options. Tesla being Tesla. And what's funny is if it does this dip, you definitely think, hey, it's going to 651s, but they reverse that immediately, and we're back testing the 713s, which was a strong level of contention, at least in my book. So all these lines, these supply demand zones, are strong levels of contention, right? So what we want to see is a break above the 713s and the squeeze to the 780s. What many want to see is a 7. Where is it? a 660s break and a dip into the 650s, then potentially open up the 616s, open up the 616s. We'll see how that plays out. Definitely like Tesla. But up at these areas, all you can do is scalp, but don't like the range up here, but love the range overall. JPM. This is interesting. JPM. We mentioned last week that what we would look for was an extension into the 154s. Got it. Bingo. Whoever that setup in the structure, it rolls real nice right into the 154s. So nice on JPM. So what we're going to look for now is a buyback over 154.70s and a push to the 156s. If we get negative drift and we go down to the 149s, if buyers don't step in immediately, I will definitely be staying away. Goldman Sachs going up. And what you want to watch for with banks, after they, I'm sure everyone probably knows, but after they do their earnings report, what you want to watch for is how much they were approved for as far as share buybacks, because that can be massive. And that can really almost be another wave that the banks expect, right? Because if you're going to be buying back stocks, then they're doing share buybacks, then of course the value is going to go up and people are going to be getting in because they want to benefit from that, right? So I'm not quite sure um, if Goldman benefits from that or did something specific to benefit from that, but just remind you about that as we think about these levels. I'm sure you already know. But let's go to the SPY. I'm going to draw some more lines here. I like these plateaus. They're really interesting. But we're holding. We can look for a rise back into the 14s, like 419-ish. But just look at this. Look at all these lower wicks, right? You need bearish advancement to show any pressure for downside. Right now, you don't have it. So let's see if we can make another higher high and squeeze. That would be interesting. But just based on how this looks here, if you like that video, please tap the like button. If you'd like to receive more videos from us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Power of Pivots, where you can look forward to receiving content from me, but also content from Elisa as she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot script to find great pre-market, intraday, and post-market entries. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful week of trading.